Hello, and welcome back to this week's Agape Leaders Monday Motivation. This week, I have the honor to introduce to you one of my very best and special friends, Paul Walker. Now, he and I coached tennis together at George Jenkins High School in Lakeland, Florida. But Paul is way more than what you would expect the accomplishments of a high school coach to be. He is also the national coach for the United States of America wheelchair teams. He also is an assistant coach at a local college, Florida Southern College. When I say that this man is impacting lives, please understand he's doing it on a global scale. So without further ado, I cannot wait for you to hear this week's Monday Motivation from our guest speaker, Paul Walker.
Hello and welcome to Agape Leaders Motivation Monday. My name is Paul Walker. I was invited by my good friend Dr. Gregg Mays to share a message with you today, so that is exactly what I'm going to do. I think we can use a little motivation any day of the week. Certainly Monday is as good a place to start as any. So let's get started. But before we do, Gregg Mays is himself a great motivator, a great encourager, and certainly a great representative of what Agape Leader is all about. So Gregg, I want you to know, one, thank you for having the confidence in me today to deliver at least a moderately motivating message, but how proud I am to call you friend. I thought I would use my last name to start the message today, Walker. I guess in its simplest definition, the name Walker means one who walks. Makes sense, right? I mean, when you're a walker, it's kind of just who you are. For one thing, walking is a bit overrated, but that's just me. I do know that it's a popular activity. People walk for all sorts of reasons. They walk to get where they're going. They walk for their health and for exercise. Some people like to walk by themselves. Some people like to walk in groups. Some people like to walk the dog, one of my personal favorites. So whatever it is, and whenever and wherever you walk, it's a good thing. So the question I want to ask you today is, what motivates you to walk? Now, think about that for a second, but you don't need to give me an answer right now. I'm going to ask you that question a little bit later as well. 2 Corinthians 5:7 is a remarkably simple Bible verse that reads, "For we walk by faith, not by sight." The things that we see are easy for us. If somebody says, "See, I told you so," and then produces visual evidence, we're likely to believe them. There's a reason why the phrase "seeing is believing" is so popular. But that's not what Paul was saying to the Corinthians. That's not what that Paul or this Paul is here to tell you today. What we're here to tell you is it's about that unscientific, unseen, unproven thing called faith. Think about that. It's a little bit more difficult, but it's a good thing. Whenever I finish a conversation with my mom who lives up in Buffalo, New York, she always ends the conversation with an "I love you," and a "hang in there, keep the faith." Now that phrase, "keep the faith," that's probably just as popular as "seeing is believing," but I will take "keep the faith" over "seeing is believing" every day of the week. I will acknowledge that keeping the faith is a little more difficult. It's a little bit more of a challenge, but we know through life experience that those things that are a little bit more difficult, a little bit more challenging, are the things that help us grow, the things that help us learn, and the things that strengthen us the most. On August 26, 1994, I was serving in the U.S. Army at Fort Hood, Texas, and on that day, I happened to cross paths with an Army chaplain. And as we passed one another and exchanged salutes, he stopped and he said, "Captain, you walk like a soldier." I thanked him and went about my way. As I walked the rest of that day, I'm quite certain that I walked a little bit taller and a little bit more proud. It's a really nice compliment. On August 27th, that very next day, I was injured in a parachute accident, and I have never walked since. So it's kind of ironic, isn't it? My name being Walker, and I don't walk. You will never see me walking. But does that mean that I don't walk? All these years later, I like to think that I still walk, but it's now that I walk by faith. So if I asked you that question again, what motivates you to walk? I want to encourage you to make it your faith and I hope that it is. So, however, whenever, wherever you walk, know this with certainty. You don't ever have to do it alone. God will always be there to walk with you if you choose. That's the wonderful thing, or one of the many wonderful things about God. And what I like to think about him is he is a walker too. It's good to keep these things in the family. So, in closing, I want to tell you to keep the faith and to get out there and go for a walk. And while you're doing it, enjoy this beautiful world that we've been given and enjoy every breath that we are allowed to take on this great earth. So, take care. Hope to see you one day out on a walk, wherever and whenever it may be. Until then, take care and God bless.
Thank you, Paul, for that motivating word. And thank you for the transparency. Sometimes we try to spend so much time making ourselves look a certain way, but I'm so thankful for the life and the example that you have given me and so many other people. Keep pushing. You are impacting lives every day. Well, that's all we have for this week's Monday Motivation. Until next time, you have a blessed week.